What's up, WWE Champions Universe? Welcome to Champions Chat, the fastest growing podcast dedicated to the WWE Champions mobile game. I am Rusty Graves. No clever nicknames today. And with me, as always, equally unclever Lee Brown. What's up, Lee?
Wow. That's the first time I've been introduced as equally unclever. It's like you ever see on the loading screen of the
Uh,
game where for some reason it glitches and doesn't put the character's name, it just puts and his nickname too. That's what we
yeah.
just did. Like we just did and his nickname too in the game there.
Now that I'm through that intro, so many different cool nicknames come to mind. I could have been the Road Dog. You could have been, anyway.
The other guy.
It's like so in the moment. I just froze. And if you
It
know, if you've been
happens.
listening for a while or watching us on YouTube for a while, I've got this little written introduction, but I never put who we are in the introduction. I always try to think of an old tag team or an old stable, and it's a funny surprise to Lee, who I say we are. Today I got nothing. Today what's to,
And
so
his
our
nickname too.
and yeah, so
Uh,
in our first, I think it's our first Champions Chat episode of the new year. We're off to a bang. We're off to
First one
a
together. We had one last week with Iron Sheik, and
oh, that's
very
right.
big thanks for Iron
Yeah.
Sheik stepping in. But
Oh yeah, Shiki. Thank
yeah.
you. Because I consider Sheik kind of like an honorary member of the Champions Chat squad. I don't know if he'd consider himself a member of that. But I mean he's basically one of us.
There
And
you
kind
go.
of our go-to guy when we talk about ideas in the game, when we talk about how to stream. He helped us get our Twitch going. And so yeah, I mean you probably hear all the time we're always thanking Sheik because
Yep.
legit, no joke, he has been the one of the biggest springboards to help us be where we are. And so we always want to honor and acknowledge that. Well, Lee, it is January. Oh,
It
my voice cut out.
is.
It's January, and that means we're in month 2 of a 2-month MLC. There's a lot of focus on Hall of Fame superstars. There's whole new contests. There's a boss battle in progress. Today, in our show notes, we are going to talk about the primary topic of so I just maxed the MLC. Now what? And you can probably even put an asterisk to say, I just maxed my first MLC. Now what?
Now
Some of our
what?
content specifically, we always want to remember guys whose roster may be around 4 million and under. We always want to be thinking about the new player. We always want to be talking about how to max. For those of you maybe trying to max your first MLC, we had something pretty rare happen in the game this week. Lee, tell us what happened with that showdown.
Absolutely. Well, and real quick too, for all of those who aren't a 4 million roster, who are in the 10 million roster, and you're used to maxing a little early, but probably not for the most part this early. And then you go, all right, what do I do now? That like
Right.
the chase character is the chase. Like one, and then once you get the chase, you go, all right, well, now what? Well, usually within pretty short order, there's another one right around
It's
the
like a
bend.
marriage. It's like a marriage, right? Oh, now the chase is over. Now what? Now what do
Now
I
what?
do? Now,
Oh, yeah, you got to
I
keep dating your wife.
I wooed and I wooed and I wooed, and now I'm saying whoa.
Whoa. From woo to woe on this episode of the Champions Chat
That's an
podcast.
old Paul Reiser quote from Mad About You. Like I still remember it. Anyway.
Nice. Yeah, so let's just say that you maxed or you're pretty close to maxing because what happened is in the showdown event this week, there was supposed to be 25,000 points towards the showdown event. But instead, there was 25,000 points that was given out for every CSS Hall of Fame win towards the MLC. So if you could do there was a limited amount with each character, but if you had each of the characters or even just one or two of the characters, you could get a significant chunk of what would have been your next 2 to 3 weeks. Because as we look at this, I think there's still 20 something days. I'll pull it up while I'm talking here, but
Yeah, I
there's
think that's right.
20 something days left of this MLC, which functionally means there's still mostly a whole month. There's 19 days left.
Show of
So
hands. How
two
many
and a
of
half
you on
weeks.
this podcast maxed the MLC already? Show of hands. Notice one hand went up.
Oh, really?
I did
Really?
not. I did not.
But you will.
But I think one of the things that makes our content unique is that one of us has been a free to play player for a long time. One of us still kind of represents, Lee represents a certain segment and demographic of player in the game. I represent a different segment and demographic of player in the game. And so we have this interchange, and you get to hear from two vastly different perspectives. And so if you're out there listening and think, well, okay, content creators mostly for the whales and the big spenders, and I'm like, no, not us, and not me in particular, because I've never considered myself all that. It's not about me. It's about creating relevant content for a broad array of listener base. And if you haven't maxed, I personally feel your pain and frustration. I feel it. I did not have Hall of Fame angle. I did not get those additional 200,000 MLC points that my compadre over here, whichever side of me you're on, got. I didn't get those. And so I'm sitting here stewing and stuck at like 1.7, 1.8 million on the MLC contest while he's
right. But that means you're gonna do it. And I mean, you're talking average for this month is 250K per week.
Right.
And so you're talking theoretically by next week this time, you should be maxed.
And we're assuming nothing is going to change. Like, please let that be a good, healthy assumption that like they're not going to go, well, I guess everybody max. We'll just cut off the points. Like that would be catastrophic. That would be, if anyone out there from Scopely Land is listening, keep the points coming, because there are those of us still trying to get over the wall,
Right. Right. So let's start with, well, you did max, or you're going to in the next few days, and then we'll move on to, okay, maybe this is the first time you max. So this is not inside information. This is just me reading the tea leaves, so to speak. You're looking at what's happening. But if
forecast, it's a forecast.
It's a forecast, yeah, and it could be wrong, just like your meteorologist locally.
Subject to change.
Subject to change.
It could be accurate, and then something could change.
Then something could change. Well, no, because I'm talking about motivation, so it could change. But I think the motivation behind it, if you notice, is to keep up daily engagement. Because if you see what happened, like, first of all, can we just we call out when things aren't right, and we are clear when they are. Let's give props to Scopely that they did not roll this whole thing back.
Hey-oh. They kept their little fingers out of our inventories, which that is always a huge win for the player base. So
and then on top of that, they gave you a Giovanni tour every day, which they weren't planning, that has, at least we don't think they were, that has tokens, gold tokens and silver, old-fashioned tokens in there too. So your Hall of Fame roster suddenly, like the Neidhart that I pulled, I was thinking,
come on, you say it's so nonchalant. Oh, the Neidhart that I pulled, pinky out, tea in hand. Come on, man. Like, say it confidently. Don't say it nonchalant.
Like, I pulled Neidhart.
Yeah, you did.
I watched your mega poll that I don't rarely do as much. I was so inspired. I did a mega poll. You got Hogan.
It was a really good poll. Like, I think if you're out there, I don't know if the loot's it might still be live. If the Neidhart, it's not loot. Okay, I was saying that Hall of Fame loot was very tempting, and I actually try to study like the pull ratios of like, is the community really getting big hits? Right. Okay, I'm tempted. I'll do it. If I'm seeing scarce or infrequent big hits, I'm like, nah, stay away. This one was like hit. Even the number of people in our faction that had hit on some of the featured superstars, that's what I track, is like, okay, of the percentage that's doing it, is like 10% hitting. Does it feel like more?
Right.
Now I'm going. So yeah, I got Immortal Hogan. So I'm not crying too hard, but man, I wanted Neidhart. My Hall of Fame category is terrible. Just terrible.
It is. I saw your roster.
And I have like some of my better Hall of Famers, like Honky Tonk Man and Rick Rude. So like,
right. I mean, Rick Rude's okay. I mean, I just got him. But...
Jerry the King Lawler at 6-star, the infamous.
Yeah, the infamous.
He rears his ugly head every faction event, boss battle that you don't want to see him. in your lobbies.
Right. Well, this one he at least made yellow, but just didn't make a ton of yellow. But
Okay,
anyways, I
back to
digress.
you.
So
You got
the
Neidhart,
idea.
and life is so good, and I think I'm gonna run for president this year because I'm on a big win streak. Whoa.
Wow, somebody's got to, you know. Anyway,
You're not in your 80s, you've got my vote.
wow, this went
Partisan
places.
politics aside, I don't care what you stand for. You're gonna live to see another day, so you've got my
Wow.
vote. Okay, sorry, Lee.
Oh, no, you're good. So the what it seems like is they're trying to push daily engagement, which I don't think is a secret. Every mobile game, every, blah blah blah, I'm sorry, daily engagement of the player base is the goal. That's why, like, if you see Raid Shadow Legends, is a pretty popular one. There's always a, hey, if you log in for 45 straight days, you get Ronda Rousey. Like, that was an event.
Never
You
heard of it.
know, yeah, well, sure. Destiny,
Is it like
Call of
Snapchat? Like a
Duty,
Snapchat streak? Like the
Snap.
kids, they
Oh,
did you know that they have a streak in
no.
Snapchat? They have to log in every day and send a snap, and they don't want their streak to be broken. And it's
Yeah.
like a clout thing for the
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. In fact, it's funny. I saw a meme earlier this week. It said, "Remember in the '90s when we had Tamagotchis and you had to press the button to keep your digital pet alive?
Yeah, I
We've
would die.
graduated from that, except now we're the digital pet. Because if we don't touch our
Oh,
phones, then it's like, oh,
oh,
how?" But the daily login streak. So you notice that they maxed your daily login streak the other day. So everybody had a streak.
eight
And if
times.
you log in every day, not only do you get what you would normally get in the bags, the daily login rewards, you're also now getting lots of Hall of Fame tokens.
A
You're getting,
hall.
what's that?
A
A
hall.
hall.
H A
Yeah,
U L.
yeah,
A hall.
exactly.
A hall.
A hall of halls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm getting like I think my minimum is 8 times. Like getting
Yeah.
8 per day of those 5-star gold
Yeah, in
tokens.
each
That's
category.
huge,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
huge.
I mean, they were selling the same thing. They were selling the
For like 20
same offer
bucks.
for 20, $30. Yeah. So
Right.
it's a $30 value that we're
Yeah.
just getting for logging in and tapping it for sure. Super
Right.
good.
Yeah. So they added all these things, but it's all around daily engagement, if you notice. And so it seems like that's the metric that this is built around, because once you get the chase character, you kind of drop off,
My
right? You
best
go, oh,
my
what else I got?
my best Hall of Fame is actually X-Pac and Tori
Xbox
now.
is good.
So
Oh,
like
Tori's phenomenal.
like so like I'm woe is me sometimes, but in reality, I my Hall of Fame Xbox sat at 5-star silver for 1 year until this
Yeah,
event.
because the
And
tokens.
and now I 6-starred him, and now
Right.
I can start working on Tori. And I have everything
Yeah,
I need to take Xbox to 6-star silver. Both of
theoretically.
those were free superstars, and both are S tier or better, S plus tier, maybe. Tori is
Right.
probably the best women's Hall of Fame superstar. We think we don't totally
Right.
know because we haven't seen her gear, we haven't seen
Right.
possibilities, but we think she's better, even better than China at this point. Um,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so, and so all that to say, this Hall of Fame event has been better than the previous year of Hall of Fame smatterings that I've
Combined.
participated in. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm very happy.
absolutely.
Very
I
happy.
I am too. And don't forget, like, so I see what Scopely's doing by giving the devs a chance to have the holiday and all that. Like, and I love that. Like, the team that we talk with, they were all on holiday for about 2 weeks. That's fantastic. It is interesting though. Like in a normal month-to-month setting, you would have gotten Giovanni last week, and you'd be moving on to the Hall of Fame event, and there'd be a new chase. But there still is, because there's the Rey Mysterio chase. It's just set up differently, right? So you have
I
to
like
win
it.
midweek events.
I like it. I like that there are fresh targets to continue
Yeah.
to fire at, and to keep
And Ray's
motivated.
good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't have. I was on vacation and I didn't get the first Ray coin.
Gotcha.
And so I'm not big tempted to try to go all in and YOLO
Right.
for the second Ray coin. but I have a day to decide. You got
Yeah.
any thoughts on that? Maybe there's others in the community that maybe they didn't get the first one.
Um,
Now they're like, do I boost up? Do I go 6-star silver? Do I get my four? Do I need 400
yeah.
points? Do I da, da, da. Anyway?
No, well, I don't know. Yes, because I did max. I tend to max all four classes with the 6-star silver, so that is a big part of it. But my CSS, like I did get angle, and I was able to use Neidhart. Behind the scenes, funny stuff though. Neidhart was still on my roster because they came back and they have
The
all
preview
this
Neidhart,
stuff to do. The
right?
preview Neidhart,
Yeah.
and we're not allowed to use, and we shouldn't be using the preview characters in in competitive modes, but he's CSS. So I'm sitting there going, can you please take him from my roster so I can use mine? And they did, and it was great. But even without Neidhart, even without Angle, there was still a decent shot. I think without the two of them CSS, I would have been like 300,000 points short.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't.
And
Yeah, I don't have angle. So I
good.
actually don't have any of the extreme rules. The three CSS extreme rules
That's
guides.
just for tokens. I don't think that messes with your score.
Oh,
As long as you beat
okay.
the tour and as long as you do well in boss battle, I think you're okay. But that's going to date quickly because boss battle ends soon. So
True.
yeah,
And
so
there's new
we'll move on
tours
from
that
that.
are
But
rolling out today at Reset. Um,
right.
I
Yeah,
heard.
that should
Yeah.
help you get there
Okay.
because there's three characters. So if you don't know, if you go into the contest or into the event and click on the contest superstars tab that's always there, you can see. And right now there's three superstars that have no modes tied to them, which means there's an
Hmm.
event or there's a thing coming.
One
More
is
than
Xbox.
likely, it'll be three more tours. Yeah, X-Pac, Shawn Michaels, and I forget who else.
Some
We can,
other,
but
somebody
again,
else
that'll
that's
date
terrific.
quickly. So,
Somebody I
but
probably don't have is probably who it
somebody you
is.
probably don't have. Well, it's just for the tokens. The tokens are amazing, but
Yeah.
in terms of should you go all in for Ray still, I don't know if you should spend a ton. I mean, he's a good character,
He,
but
right.
you never know what they're going to do. Like you never know. Last time there was an issue with last year with one of the Kevin Nash, and to be frank, I did not get Kevin Nash last year. I just pulled him with that Neidhart mega
Right.
pull I did. So watch that video. But I didn't get him last year. However, I do remember that one of the events didn't go as planned, and so they put one additional token in another event. And so you never
Okay.
know.
That's
Like,
right.
don't give up at the starting
Yeah.
line, right? I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it's worth spending your, whatever you have budgeted for the game this month, but you might still get there. There's just no telling.
So, back to the people that have maxed for the MLC. They've maxed it. They've got a new
Yep.
Vinci tour. They're
Yep.
able to just rack up. I mean, there were like strap parts. There's some
Oh
good
yeah.
stuff. There's some motivating things
Amazing
to do.
stuff.
Um, if you're new to maxing the MLC, um, should you let's say you have 100 million coin or more
Right.
left over. Let's say you have some people you'd like to get ready for talent up. Should you just, now that the MLC is over, should you just go YOLO crazy and just boost people? Just go do whatever you want for the
Right.
next 15, 20 days?
Maybe I wouldn't. I think it's good to plan strategically. So I would invest in Giovanni Vinci. If you take him 5-star, maybe 5-star silver, depending on what they do for his stuff, that's more than adequate to easily beat what they've got out for him right now. And if you've never maxed before, you maybe don't know, the chase character as well as each of the weekend characters have a victory tour at the end. So it's not going to be for another 2.5 weeks, give or take, because it kind of straddles that last week of this MLC, first week of the next MLC. But they have a victory tour. You'll get, I forget what it is. I think one node is either 10 or 20 million coins in the hell mode of it, blah, blah, blah. But either way, if you have the chase character at 5-star for that alone, you'll get his TP color, you'll get tokens for him, you'll get coins. So you'll get the econ, as Goldie calls it. You'll get the econ you need to take him up. So you might as well invest in Giovanni anyway. Plus, you need him 5-star for the daily tours that are going on.
Yeah, I was hoping you would, like I was hoping you would just say no, don't do that. Like make it super clear. And like yes, okay, play the game for
In
fun,
Giovanni,
play
yes. Your
play it how
other
you
ones don't
want.
go nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the point is, and what I was throwing you a softball about here is like
Right. I was getting there.
All of the excess resources that you're going to accrue in the next 2+ weeks should be the hoard of resources that you use to create momentum to carry you into the next MLC so that your dominoes continue to fall
Right.
into one another, and so that now you go on a MLC max streak. Like
Right.
I am proof. My first MLC max was it Zombie Cody was
Zombie
the chase.
Cody.
So
Yep. And
first
then you got Nikita.
period ever, right? And now I've maxed 5 in a row, I believe.
Yep.
4 in a row, but it's like I have needed the surplus from the previous MLC victory tours, etc. Like I've needed to go into the new month
Right.
with an excess of TP, an excess of coin, an excess of tokens.
Right.
Um, because yeah, the temptation might be to just blow it all now that I made it to celebrate, right? But you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. One thing about this, Vinci might be your best tech, or he might not be. So
Right.
all of his resources could be pushed into someone who is your best tech. You know, if you have that Gunther Imperium sitting there that you got him out of a pull, or if you have someone else that's like, you know, S tier tech and you've just been waiting, there is really no rush to make that chase character 6-star. He doesn't
No.
have to affect your long-term roster planning, right?
Right.
Does that feel accurate?
It is, yeah, and that's kind of where I was heading with this, anyways. Because 5-star to 5-star silver, so 5 bronze, 5 silver, you need to get Giovanni there. You can beat most everything with that pretty easy, at least as of what we've seen so far. But don't forget, because what you're saying there is you need those resources to create momentum into the next month. And because you've now maxed the MLC, that means all the resources that you've been used to getting from those milestones in the MLC, those are done. You've gotten all those resources. So you're not going to see as many prize wall coins. You're not going to see as much TP. You're not going to see as many Ludwig things. You're going to see the faction event versions and the midweek versions, but you're not going to see that steady stream. And that last MLC milestone, you get like 30 or 40 million coins. So yeah, you're going to have at least 100 or around 100 million coins if you have at least 40 dropping in right there. And the temptation would be, oh man, okay, now I'm just going to go build everybody. One, don't forget, we've got at least one more flash feud or the feud talent up that should be next week, right? So you've got to figure that out. And then, like Rusty said, you've also got next month's momentum, and you're going to want to have enough coin to do your daily stuff and resources to do your weekly stuff.
And you got to think on some level, a certain segment of our listener base, you know, you need to consider that you probably have faction mates that you really enjoy playing the game with that have not maxed, and they need your participation to get faction contest points to help get their solo points,
right?
So that they can max. They're probably stuck somewhere between 1.5 million, 1.8 million if you haven't maxed yet. That curve
for Huggins.
Yeah, there's going to be a good percentage of people that are like really frustrated if you just quit playing, take half the month off. That's going to be oof. That would be a feel bad. And that could, I'm not trying to forecast doom and gloom here, but that could ultimately lead to them frustratingly leaving your faction to say like, well, I want a more active faction. These guys, they all max, they screwed me, and now I'm done, you know?
No, I'm
and
gone.
so, yeah, we don't want that to happen. Gosh, we don't want any factions breaking up unless start naming
where are you
faction.
going now?
I was just gonna start naming random faction. Unless you're the Battle Toads, we want you to dissolve instantly. Oh, the Bert and Ernie's. Yeah. What faction? I don't even remember what they were called.
They don't exist anymore. We don't need to go there.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But I agree, and I think if you notice that they're really heavily like one of the tricks to life, you know, in a capitalistic system, but certainly in video game life, is look at what they're rewarding and see how you can follow that trail. And right now
Right.
they're rewarding daily login and daily participation because they don't want that. Again, assumptions based on what they're building out, not inside information. They don't want that daily player base to drop off or people to get used to not being on the game daily. And therefore they're monetizing, they're giving incentives, they're incentivizing you coming back daily with multiple different things. And if you
Yeah.
drop off right now, sure, you've maxed, you got what you want out of it, but you're going to lose that, let's use the word hoard that you did. You're going to lose that hoard of resources because don't forget two things. One, there's still 20 days. So there are still at least 2.5 weeks worth of events that are tied around this that you could then stockpile. And I know hoarding isn't fun. And if you know me, my method is go in all the time as best as you can. I've heard from some others that's not working as well lately. So maybe that's a pause, David E. pause moment. But you're going to end up with a lot more resources if you follow what they're incentivizing. And right now they're incentivizing and have been, but especially right now, daily participation. And that's all it is. It's just come in, get your stuff, play with your faction. Even if you take it a little bit lighter, you're still engaging daily. But it seems like what they're giving us to do, like these Extreme Rules tours and all that, it's worth hopping in for your normal amount of time daily because you're getting things that you couldn't beg, borrow, or steal a month ago, and now they're right in front of you.
You could buy them though. Some of
Well,
those
yeah, no, that's why I
those
didn't
five
say
star
buy,
gold,
buy.
the 5 star gold tokens that I was lacking. Like I would
Yeah,
see them come up on offers, and I'd be like, oh man, I just
right.
because like I want to say I needed like 50 of them or 40,
Oh, yeah,
and the offers were usually I would have to buy two of the offers to
right,
get the amount I needed, and it would have been like $60, and I was like, I
right.
just can't justify $60 on making
Bringing
my
up
Xbox
Xbox.
6 star. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
right,
can't. I was like, my Hall of Fame's a pit. I've
right.
acknowledged it, and I'll leave it there, and I'll just keep working up my other stuff that is better. Um,
Yeah. Well, let's talk
yeah,
strategy on that real quick, though,
yeah,
because that is so this is what changes now. Because, so for example, going into this month, I was having a conversation with myself. I may have said it on the stream that you were out for, but Tori, right? I think Tori's a phenomenal female character. Yes, she's a trickster, and there's so many trickster females. I get it, but she's really good, and she has
Chelsea
a.
Green.
And I don't have Chelsea Green, so I can be
Yeah.
jealous of you calling the manager. So there you go. But the odds are, without this having happened,
Right.
you would have gotten enough econ to maybe take one new Hall of Fame character to 6 star,
That's right.
maybe.
That's right. And you would have waited a
And
year.
you would have
Those
waited a
of
year
you,
beyond
yeah,
that,
yeah.
or had to spend during the monthly Hall of Gold or whatever they're going to do. If they, I mean, they haven't called it that for a little while, but that
Yeah,
was
Hall of
the
Gold's been out for a while,
thing for a
hadn't it?
while. Yeah, I mean, there's still similar things for it, but usually the
Hmm.
first week of every month they do something Hall of Fame related, even if it's a little mini event. But right
Yeah.
now, that was it, right? So now proof's in the pudding. I mean, I don't often YOLO. I YOLO'd Fatu because he's Fatu, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Once I got Neidhart, yesterday I took him from when they dropped the preview off my roster, I took him from level 1 to 6 star silver right then. I
That's
mean, in that
crazy.
instance.
How many
But
coins did that
I
take?
wouldn't.
Like 300 million coins or what?
Oh, it was a lot. Yeah, from 6 bronze to 6 silver, I remember looking at it was 151 million because
Yeah.
I looked at it and
Yeah.
went, "Oh, I don't need to do this." And then you know how you just defeat yourself sometimes, like on purpose, you do things that just force you to jump off the cliff. I just went, "Oh, well, it's done now." So what are you gonna do? So I hit the button, and all of a sudden, 151 million coins were just gone. And yes, I still think so. Here's why this worked because we got Giovanni. I no longer am so concerned about leveling up Ludwig each time, and I was going to build, buy that on the prize wall, the pack that gets him there. It's like
right.
2,000, but I had 10,000 from maxing it and what I'd stored up, and there was one where you could buy 500 million coins. So I bought
Oh,
500 million coins and then immediately spent 300 million of them.
lucky, lucky. Oh,
So
not lucky.
they're
That's
for
smart. That's a good
everybody. It's
move.
just a matter of how you
Yeah,
use the resources that come to you.
that's smart.
But anyway, yes. So
Do you think
you
the
should be able to
majority?
take multiple to 6 silver this time, it seems.
Let me ask a controversial question. Do you think a
Okay.
majority of the free to play community if they actively participated in this month, will max this MLC.
Well, we need to recognize leagues real quick because we often just
Oh,
think about the fact that, oh, we're top league. And so we're talking Giovanni. But for example, my friend, our friend kind of Graham, he was the community spotlight, the last one we did, which by the way, I haven't told you yet, but I've got some surprises on Friday that I'm going to record with a few community spotlight people. But he was
fun.
our last community spotlight. And I was telling him, get on this, go get it, max the MLC. And
Right.
he sent me a screenshot and was like, well, which one are you asking me to max? And it was already maxed and beyond. He's like, how do I get Giovanni? I was like, oh, well, you're not high enough league to get Giovanni.
Oh,
Oh,
so he
crud.
gets like the Bret Hart, Tech
Yeah.
Bret Hart, or Jimmy
Or Jimmy
Uso.
or
Who
yeah.
did you tell him to get for Tech Bret?
Well, he didn't ask.
Oh,
We just spent the time going, oh, so now we're talking about like, okay, how do you get to higher leagues fast enough that if this happens again,
is he able
you
to
can get
Was he able to
there?
get the strap and the Uso cap?
I don't know. I didn't ask
That
him.
would be interesting to see because I don't know. Like I'm at league whatever, like
I think you're 20 or
20,
21, right?
20. Yeah, I
I'm
think
just
so.
waiting for League 22. I'm ready for it.
Oh, so did you and Cheek talk about the Grayson Waller, like the Grayson Waller grab? Like that was a super fun weekend,
It
where
was.
a good number of the community were able to actually get the weekend superstar.
Right.
And his gear was the chase that weekend,
Right.
essentially. Like you had to
Yes.
spend a little bit to try to pull the gear. Um, that was a really
Right.
fun weekend, and I would love
Agree.
to see more of that style of
Yes.
event. If you like that event, please go on the forum, right? Go on the WWE Champions
Yes.
website and click
The portal.
forum. Leave some positive and constructive feedback because I think they hear it so rarely that they really do listen to it.
Right.
And they really do say, "Oh, the community like this. We should do more of this." Like
I
I
agree.
loved it. I
I
loved
agree.
previewing Waller. And I remember thinking, I'll never get this guy. He's really cool though. I like him. He does a lot of different things. And then lo and behold, I'm
You
using
got
him
him.
today for the I was using him for the stip tour to make black gems with
Nice.
his moves. And I just thought, okay, this is fun. He's he's throwing out the juggernaut, he's moving
He
into the sub,
travels.
and then he's yeah. So he's all over the place right now.
We didn't talk about it so much, but I agree. And if anybody from our friends at Scopely are listening,
Hello, Scopely. Are you listening to this?
hello,
Enter
dear.
promo code Grayson Waller on the portal.
I
Just
personally
kidding.
think if they would structure a month where you get your free character who is at least on par with what we've been receiving, give or take, a little
Like
worse, a little
Mosh
better,
or better.
but like Mosh-ish. Yeah,
I would
Mosh-ish.
love to make Mosh the
Mosh-ish.
new free MLC
Standard.
standard. Yeah, the
Right.
baseline because
Yeah.
he
So
was
if you've got
good.
that, you've got your chase, which is for a portion of the player base attainable, right? So that's two characters in a month. And then you have one character that is like this Grayson Waller event where they're a 1200 shard recruit and their gear is maybe the chase or something like that. That's
Yeah,
three characters in a month and always a great free give or take, a pretty decent chase give or take. And, if they're similar to Waller, where people are like, oh, well, he's not the best out there. Like, well, he was free. Like
yeah.
most of the player base was able
He's
to get
my
him.
best
So
now. I think
best
my best
showboat.
modern era showboat.
Right.
Maybe Balor. I don't know
Yeah,
that he's
Balor. I'm jealous of that
quite.
one too.
Yeah, I don't know that he's quite on the level of Judgment Day Balor.
But for
Maybe.
the way they did it, he doesn't have to be. And
Right.
if you get his gear, he gets better and better. And I like that system. Like I don't think every character should be that way because then we just all have everybody and all you care about is gear. But
True.
but if you were to do that, where out of the roughly six characters that come out, three of them are basically attainable, and then the other three should be premium. They should be ones you have to spend
Be
for
really
because
cool if they
that
did that with a
balances the game.
and if it's not all superstars, maybe a plate. Like there have
Oh
been
yeah.
some attainable plates recently that feel really, really good. It feels really good to get
Yeah.
a plate.
Oh
It just
yeah.
feels really good to get a plate.
Plates,
Um,
gear, moments. Like there's a moment
yeah,
contest going on right now.
yeah,
Those things that still feel premium because you're not just giving them away, but you give us a glimpse every once in a while, and you're like, oh,
right.
oh, maybe I can't get the six. There's of the prize wall coins they are available right now. Everybody's going to end up in the 100 something, maybe it's 200 range without spending, give or take. And the premium one's 600. So obviously, I know I'm not going for that. I'm not going to be able to get it, but it
Right.
feels good to go, ooh, which of these moments do I want? Because I have options here.
Well, and also, since we're talking about leaving constructive feedback on the forum, if anybody wants to go on and kindly suggest that they put the Titan plate back in the shop, there are some of us with like 15 coins just hanging
Right.
there, hoping it comes back and not wanting to blow the coins on something less
Right.
than the Titan plate. That would just be really cool to mobilize our
Uh,
listenership out there.
The
Although
Dead
it
Man
may be
Sigil is
small.
underrated. I
Yeah,
will say it's underrated,
sure,
especially on that
sure.
Hollywood Hogan build that I showed. The Dead Man Sigil was awesome because he has the move where it doesn't move the pin bar and
Mm,
all that. But plus, oh, by the way, if you follow Sir Zorro on YouTube, he just did a poll about which of these plates do you want to see the best character for, and far and away the one winning right now is the Dead Man Sigil. So keep checking
yeah,
back on Sir Zorro's content because I'm assuming he's going to release that video in the next day or two.
I'm, eh,
But it's
yeah,
not the Titan plate.
I know. I just feel like I hope I didn't just miss that and that ship has sailed. Like I really
Right.
hope. Now I have seen some people pulling the Titan plate in that idols loot, which is like
Oh,
insane lottery win. Like
right.
that's the win
Right.
of all wins. Yeah.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Well,
Agreed.
anything else about Max and the MLC, or you want to talk WWE TV, or talk about anything else going on in the game?
Yeah, let's just a couple more quick minutes on it. But yeah, I mean, the MLC, like we skimmed over it, but if this is your first MLC, what do you need to do? Take Giovanni to 5 star and then start to accumulate your resources. I'm not saying skip the faction feud, talent up, or those type things, but
Yeah,
don't just go blowing the resources all over the place because next month you're going to have a special tour if they keep things the way they have been that is dedicated to Giovanni, and that does give solo MLC points. And so if you've been on the bubble for a long time, you're like, man, I just can't seem to quite reach it, but it's right there. This is going to take you up another level. And with anything in games like this, but especially with this game as we know it, once you break the dam, it seems like things start to open up. So once you get a chase character, it gets easier to get the MLC going. Once you get a 6 star, it gets easier to get a 6 star. Maybe not
that's
like
right.
from here to here instantly, but you move from here and to a sizable chunk ahead. And if you can keep playing the momentum game, you will start to build your roster to these ones that you're like, oh, I could never get to that roster. Well, you know what? Maybe not on your own, but you got to watch. There's always something that happens in this game, whether it's a glitch or whether it's an intentional thing. And don't forget, last piece, next month is the anniversary month of this game.
Is that a
We don't
spoiler?
have
Do we?
inside information. Oh
Are
no,
we allowed to
It's
say
always
that?
February.
Oh,
It's
okay. I
always
was like,
February.
oh
Who?
gosh, you just violated our terms of agreement. I usually get,
No.
we're no
No, no,
longer
no, no,
content
no. We
creators.
know it's
We just got
always
fired.
February.
We just got fired.
We don't know what is happening for it. We just know it's the anniversary month. And if
Nice.
history holds, they tend to be a little more generous during their
Ooh.
February month. Plus, there's going to be the whatever the Valentine's Day event is. Last year it was a couples based thing. So start thinking about your WWE couples. Last year it was
Hmm.
Becky and Seth. It was
Bianca and
Bianca and Montez.
they
Yep.
had a gear.
It,
Was that the when they had the special
I
gear for
know.
them that came out?
Yes, and I want it so
Really
bad.
cool. I don't have
Bianca's
it.
anyway. I
Yeah,
don't
the
have,
gear is
yeah, I've
really
got
cool.
Bianca, but that's the last big trick I need for Acro Bianca. But yeah,
Hmm.
they introduced, so think of your couples. Think of those and start building up who's real life WWE couples. Miz and well, Maurice isn't in the game, but if she were to drop, maybe, who knows?
She would be a
Uh,
pretty cool superstar to come.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've got for you for that side of things. Other than that, what's going on in the game? This was a really good month. I really like the Hall of Fame event. I like Tori. I'm okay with Ray. Professor's talking me more and more into him. Actually, you too, because Rusty wasn't, normally we talk through the characters before whoever does the preview. And it was just me on my own this time. And I think I short sold him in our preview. I think he's going to be better than I
Oh,
said.
interesting.
So And then
I
Neidhart's the
we don't
same, and
know what's
we
going to
got more
happen with a
coming.
gear for Ray as well. Like there
Right.
could
Well, we
be,
do.
oh, do is
We
it
know what
already?
his gear does,
Oh, I don't
and
know.
the silver was already available on that first prize wall.
Oh,
So,
I was on vacation, y'all. So I don't, I have a memory void when it comes to all things Mysterio.
right.
Speaking of Mysterios, what is the likelihood of Dominic Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble? How
Wow.
incredible would that be? That would be
Wow.
that would be catering to the fan base like they never have before.
That's true.
Maybe like the
That's
Daniel
true.
Bryan yes movement would be,
The anti-yes.
yeah. Oh my gosh, could
Can't
you
even call it the
imagine?
no because that's too straightforward. It's just the
Right.
anti-yes movement.
Gosh.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, that would be a very like surprising result. I think this year it feels more dialed in and predictable just because what are they going to do if they don't have either CM Punk or Cody Rhodes win the Royal
Well,
Rumble? What are
we
they going to
since
do?
the last time we went on an episode of Champions Chat, The Rock has returned
Oh,
apparently to WWE TV, even going as far as saying maybe I should sit at the head of the table. And the crowd lost its mind.
right.
We have friends that live in Australia that have confirmed The Rock is already being advertised in the ticket sales there for the Perth event, which is
Yeah,
Elimination Chamber.
right.
I don't know. I don't know where it's headed, but it seems to be headed
Right.
towards some big match, Rock versus Roman.
Yep.
Could The Rock enter the Rumble as number 30 and win, and that be the Mania? I like this was what we thought was a far-fetched idea,
Right.
seems to be somehow manifesting before our eyes, and yet we don't
Yeah.
quite know what context and who the odd man out is going to be.
Right. Yes. So the irony to for those who listened to last week's with Sheik and we didn't talk about this part of it, but the irony I think of this is if you remember when CM Punk left, the alleged but pretty clear from what he said, behind the scenes reports were CM Punk was very upset that he never got to main event a WrestleMania. And when it was about to be his time and he was champion, Summer of Punk, all that, The Rock came back and took
Right.
that spot.
And it was
So
Rock
is this
Cena.
history repeating itself only with Cody?
Ooh.
Because I don't think CM Punk came back under anything less than I get to main event a WrestleMania and you better do it now.
Yeah,
I
because he's
don't
getting
think
old, so he
that's the
won't have a
case.
lot of years ahead of him, I don't
Yeah.
think.
Well, at
And
least in that highly competitive
he's
space.
not
Yeah.
terribly healthy either. They're
Yeah. He
they're
hurts him.
hesitant,
Yeah.
I think, on how they use him even in house shows. If you watch some of the footage on YouTube, his matches are a lot of bravado with very few actual wrestling moves. Him
Right.
and Dominic have been doing a program together, and it's kind of a heel versus face, cheering, booing,
Right.
not a lot of actual wrestling. Rhea getting involved,
Right.
taking physicality away from and aging CM Punk. At
Yeah.
least that's how this viewer is speculating. You know.
Nice.
So do you think
Nice.
Rock Roman will happen, and then i.e. will it happen just at Elimination Chamber as the main event?
Right. I mean, they haven't followed up on it quite yet. I don't know if that's because Roman's so part-time or because Rock is going to be so part-time. I would assume they'll have one more time where Rock comes back and Roman's there and they confront each other, so they can get the highlight reel at least for it. But I think that either one of two things. Either they set up Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber and they just shotgun a very quick segment on Raw or SmackDown. I used to be SmackDown in this case, where The Rock comes out, they have their face to face, they build this, and then as WWE does, they'll build this amazing promo package that makes you just believe that this is the biggest
Yeah,
match ever.
yeah,
Or Or they'll do something where they tease it at Elimination Chamber and make it clear that it's going to be Rock Roman at WrestleMania XL, which then sets up, okay, well, Cody, let's say Cody loses the Rumble. Let's say Punk wins, which I think a lot of people are speculating. There's maybe even some fake leaks out there that they think this is happening. And
So
Triple
that would
H is
be
not
Punk Seth at Mania
Punk Seth for one of the
if
main
he
events
wins the
at
Rumble.
Mania. Right. And so then maybe The Rock does something where it's clear from Elimination Chamber that Rock Roman is happening at WrestleMania. And the story for Cody is, how do I get to WrestleMania?
He takes the Money in the Bank briefcase from Damian Priest. I've been saying that for
Maybe.
months and months,
Maybe.
that he has the heist moment somehow with the
Right.
briefcase at WrestleMania. What if he cashes it in on CM Punk? Wouldn't that be nuts?
It would be, although it doesn't go along with the story because Cody has made it clear the WWE title, which is now the Universal WWE, that's the only one that counts for him
Oh,
right now.
hmm.
But I think even I think they set up something where Cody or where Rock Roman opens. I know this would be crazy. Rock Roman opens Elimination Chamber. They make it really clear, if it's a segment, a match, doesn't matter. They make it really clear that that's happening at WrestleMania. And then Cody goes into the Elimination Chamber. He gets his cage open first, or he's one of the first two in there. He has to survive the entire gauntlet. And then he wins Elimination Chamber and says, okay, I've punched my ticket. And then hopefully they don't do a triple threat. Hopefully they don't do it where Cody pins Rock and then Roman can still say, I'm undefeated, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully what they do is Rock Roman opens night one of WrestleMania and Cody Roman closes night two. So it's the bookend. It's the chapters of the story.
Back to
Hopefully.
back. That would be, well,
Yeah.
Rock Roman only really makes sense to me if Rock dethrones Roman as the tribal chief
Right.
and somehow restores integrity and honor to the bloodline, the what's
Right.
the family name? The
Anoa'i.
Anoa'i family,
Yeah.
right? And is a unification agent. And Sika comes out and Rikishi, and there's just this amazing, beautiful family reunion in the ring at Roman's
Right.
expense. And then he takes a couple months, years off and pursues his acting career. Like that's a
The Rock has an
WrestleMania.
acting career?
No,
Are you talking about
Roman.
Roman?
Roman.
I was just
Roman
messing. I'm
wants
just messing.
Roman, I think, is
Yeah.
that, but like that would be a WrestleMania moment. There would be
Right.
highlight reel, memorable
Right.
material for years and years to come with the lay, and the what are those like the head shrinkers used to wear, like the Hawaiian looking skirts over their ring gear,
Right.
like the Polynesian like dress, like
Right.
play it up, man. Have tiki torches beside the ring. Have a village elders section where they're all sitting and observing the match.
Right.
It could be one of the greatest matches of all time if they
Mm.
end the bloodline story there with The Rock.
Right.
And he would be over,
Maybe.
over, like no one has ever been over before.
If The Rock is going to stick around for a little while, that would make sense. Or if The Rock clearly appoints, like he said, I am now the head of the table. So Roman stole the head of the table, but I am going to appoint the next head of the table. And then The Rock passes it down to either Jay or Solo or something, something. So, because you don't want that to just be, okay, we'll see The Rock again in 7 years. Then we'll pick back up the head of the table gimmick.
I know. Yeah. You run this dilemma of like, if he takes the title, what does he do with it? Does
Right.
he drop it the next night on Raw? Does he vacate the title into
Right.
some King of the Ring scenario, which would be great, you
Right.
know? Um,
Or then you have Cody starts gunning for The Rock if The Rock takes the title, but then you almost have to turn Cody heel. You almost have to hit, my story just wouldn't end. Well, I'm going to make my story. And I don't think the crowd wants
right.
Cody as a heel. He is their
Cody's
top
not
babyface.
Cody's not quite big enough to have that Hogan Rock draw. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like to
Not
have
yet.
that legend versus he's just not. I wish he
He will
was.
get there, I think, but right
Yeah.
now in his career, I don't think that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I will say, out of all the things that are happening on the road to Royal Rumble, the thing that I think I'm one most surprised by and two most interested in
Ooh.
is the fact that Jinder Mahal is being positioned as former world champion, all this as like a joke. I legitimately, I've said before, Seth Rollins is probably my least interesting on all of WWE TV. And I
Right.
don't want CM Punk to lose his spot. I think Seth versus CM Punk is the right way to go. But I legitimately would love it if Jinder dethroned Seth at the Royal Rumble. I think that would
Hmm.
be amazing. And if you've been following some of the behind the scenes things, Jinder Mahal is in a Twitter war with the other team. Let's just say the other team, right? And he might be having like a little bit of a Becky Lynch moment. Remember how, not talking about when Nia broke Becky's nose, but talking about how she just started owning people on her Twitter game. And like every
Oh,
time Ronda Rousey said something, Becky was just like the Wendy's tweets of getting in there and just like, oh, that was good. If
yeah.
Jinder can start doing that, there's actually like this homegrown support thing happening of like, maybe he does deserve more than we gave him credit for.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Jinder
he
was a
wasn't the
great
worst
heel
champion
champ.
ever.
Jinder was a great heel champ. He really
Yep.
was. He was a great heel, period.
Just
Um,
the way they pushed him made people not,
oh,
it wasn't palatable, like
agreed.
it wasn't done right, I think.
Agreed. I liked his little entourage that he had with him too. The guys that would come
Yeah.
out, his little
The
hype
Bollywood
team.
boys and
Yeah, like I loved it. There was so
yeah.
much that they could have done beyond the cliche foreign heel. Like they really
Right.
could have made him a person of wealth and prominence and
Right.
almost like a JBL type of heel. But
Yeah.
it's like
That's what they're
foreign
kind of trying
money.
for.
He's
The
wealth.
Maharaja.
Yeah, yeah. I would like he was good. They just didn't.
He just
He
didn't do
dropped that
much
title
with
so
it.
quick to AJ Styles, right? I mean, it was just so like on a
So quick in the fact that like he lost the match quick, but the title reign famously was, it just felt like it kept going forever. Like
oh yeah.
it was like 295 days or something like that,
He
that Jinder was just ongoing.
Yeah, I just meant like the actual job itself. It just was
Oh, right.
it's not even a convincing law. It was a
Right.
squash match, just oops.
Yeah.
And it was on a was it on a Raw even or a SmackDown? I mean, the
It
title
was on a
changed hands.
Raw and it was in England. And the
Oh
neat thing with
yeah.
that, it was the
Yeah.
first time, I think, if I'm right, I think it was the first time in history the WWE title changed hands off American soil. And
Right.
so AJ Styles will forever have that feather in his cap. And I know we're not talking about the game right now. I said it on the stream that the three of us with
Yeah.
Professor did. Powerhouse AJ Styles. That's my new, I want him in the game.
And
S tier.
make him chunky
Make
like he
him,
is now. Somebody said
yeah.
the other day, it looks like this new AJ swallowed the old AJ. That's why he's swollen.
Yep.
He
So
swallowed
at
something, a lot of
Royal
protein.
Rumble, you've got LA Knight, you've got AJ Styles, you've got Randy Orton, and you've got the head of the table.
Right.
Any reality you see, Roman doesn't walk away from that the champion. Any reality.
No, I mean it's got to be Roman. It's like it can't not. It's going to be a great match. Roman's going to have a lot of rest moves laying outside the ring. Um, it's going to be whoever, Orton inevitably. Somebody's probably got to become a heel from that match, and it
Well,
probably will not be LA Knight. I mean, maybe it could be,
no.
or like
AJ's been
Orton.
teasing it, and
Yeah,
Orton's too fresh back. I mean, I know
right.
AJ is too,
It's
but
like somebody's got to be a heel.
I think it's
Somebody's got to be the
AJ.
one who screws over
Right,
LA Knight to cost him the match. To Roman gets the
right.
pin. Um,
Okay. So who gets the pin? Who does Roman pin in
LA
this
Knight,
then?
LA
You
Knight.
think?
I think, yeah, it's
Oh,
not going to be AJ. I think AJ is going to be the heel turn that I don't know. AJ throws a chair
right.
shot, walks away from the ring.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. It doesn't make any sense what they're doing with AJ right now. I don't get it. The club, why, like, bring the club with him? Why is he being weird
Right.
towards the club? Like, make
Yeah.
that his little stable and like let him just
Right.
be heels together and let him be
Right.
credible and believable instead of this. I don't know what the heck he's doing. I don't get it.
So here's where I think the booking is going. And if so, I really love it. AJ screws over LA Knight. Whatever happens there,
Right.
and Roman pins LA Knight, right? Because LA Knight is the guy that we all want to be in that scene.
Sure.
Yet
Yeah, he's the fan. He's the
then
fan favorite.
he's the fan favorite.
Yeah.
Then AJ and LA Knight is your WrestleMania match because
Oh,
famously,
yeah.
whatever you think about LA Knight's in-ring ability, I know some have said it's more show than it is substance.
He's like a
AJ
baby
can get a
deer.
great match out of anyone.
True. Yeah, he's like Shawn
AJ had
Michaels in
a
that
top
regard.
tier match with Shane McMahon at a WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
AJ's the
mean, he's
kingmaker,
the showstopper. I mean, you know,
the
he
showstopper.
the new showstopper. He really is. He can
Yeah.
work with
Oh yeah.
anybody and
The
make them
best of a
shine.
generation.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Among. I mean, but yeah, legitimately, like when we look
Yeah.
back and say who were the best in there, you're like, well, AJ Styles, his promo ability came along,
Right.
Other than that, I mean, that was his weakest area for a long stretch. But like you say, like now he's got the athleticism and he's got the bulk. He's got muscle for days now. He's got this killer attitude again. I mean, and behind the scenes, AJ can make any match
True.
a great match.
They don't
It
want
seems.
none. They don't
They
want
don't want
none. They don't want none. Hit them my yeah, like
his music's interesting.
it's I like AJ Styles, and I just think the guy's never really gotten the shake. Probably that he could have that he maybe earned even right with
Right.
in the business.
Yeah.
It's a
Well, the
hard.
2 world championships and battling John Cena. That's the highlight reel of that. Like where he became the face that runs the place and took it over
Right.
from John Cena. But that's what they're kind of echoing now, right? Because he was a heel then, and then he had to earn John Cena's respect and became a good guy. But he was
Right.
and the club was throwing balloons the club
Yeah.
was beating him up and all that. I mean, I think it's good.
I'd love to see a real shakeup this year and maybe some sort of revitalization of the Too Sweet click with Finn Balor and AJ and the club. And
Yeah.
I mean, like it's all the ingredients are there, especially if they're heels. Like it's all there. Maybe Priest.
Right.
They've just totally decimated the LWO at this point.
Right.
With Santos taking the tag team. So like maybe Priest becomes, an estranged member of the Judgment Day and somehow revitalizes the LWO with Zelina. Like that would be really cool. That'd be really, really cool. I don't think we'll ever get there because it's so obvious and so cool and such an easy thing. It probably just won't ever happen. So,
Well, and the Judgment Day legitimately just keeps going from strength to strength. And I've said it the last couple of weeks, but R-Truth and what they're doing with R-Truth, I know it's kind of turning the comedy aspect up on the Judgment Day.
it's really
It is my
strange.
favorite thing.
But I don't know if you know this,
thing.
but it's happening on Twitter too. Like Rhea is posting like, candids of her eating, pizza in a mall food court. And then in the far background is R-Truth. And she's like, how does this guy keep finding us? And like he's photo bombing their it's hilarious. So like their offstage antics have been really entertaining as well. Well, I think we won't know much else until tomorrow night's SmackDown. We'll have a lot more to talk about on next week's Champions Chat. You got anything else before we close out, Lee?
I think coming up, not this episode, but in the future, one of the things we're going to talk about or need to talk about is the division, the dividing of the tag team titles, because I think they're going there and I think they need to. And I think all things tag team division would make an amazing next step for some of our things as we are on the road to the Royal Rumble.
Nice.
That's all I got for us.
Hopefully DIY will do something interesting because they're starting to get some screen time. The guy that's getting more screen time than anybody is Ivar. I don't understand that, but And it's just
Oh,
like
okay.
the Meat
You gave
House
me
versus
something,
Meat House match.
right? Can
How
I
many
just say that
people
match
can we
was
put against Ivar?
incredible?
Yeah,
Ivar versus Otis,
yeah,
they wrestled a cruiserweight match. Like
yeah,
if
they
you look
did.
at the style, if you look at
Yeah,
the spots, if you look at the way they did it, everything about that was a cruiserweight match with these super heavyweights, and it won me over. Like I believe now in those
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, that was a lot of there. Like they could have easily collapsed the ring like they did in the old days,
But
with the
instead, Otis just catches him and world's strongest slams Ivar. And then
yeah,
Ivar goes up and does the big flip. And they're doing spots where they do the flippy elbows into the, like, if they would have done a kip up in the mix there, that was a straight up
right.
cruiserweight match.
I'd love to see Big E come back healthy and like
Yeah.
dethrone all the big boys. Like that'd be
Yeah.
great. That would be great.
All right. So future conversation. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us for our first Rusty and Lee podcast back of the new year. If you're not already, subscribe to this on YouTube, on the Apple iTunes podcasts, on Spotify,
It's totally
and
free.
keep aware for
Totally
our
free to
Twitch.
subscribe.
That's right.
It's free
And
to
it
play
helps us
players.
out.
Stream.
It's free. That's right. Like the video, share it with your faction. And as always, we just want to say, be good to one another. We so appreciate being a part of this community, and we appreciate you. Bye.